Hello there, I'm Boo, and I like drawing, maximizing my hours in all the Pokemon games to find Chinese, and I really love to complain about lore in World of Warcraft.
Hello, and welcome back to a new episode on the channel. For the waiting time between, the patch and Season 2 to actually start and me maybe delving into some new delves and trying out some of the new stuff that will launch on Wednesday, at least for us AU folks, I thought I'd just bring you another little bit shorter but nevertheless a lot of work episode where I'm going through some of my Goblin Transmog sets and where I just talk about Goblin Transmog in general. Now, I have a lot more things that I could talk about, but I kinda didn't want to do so much work, but ended up doing a lot of work for it anyway. So if you would like to see more of this, then please tell me. I'm always happy to share Transmog sets, so I just love Transmog. I know, who would have guessed. Anyway, I really wish you all the fun with this, and please tell me in the comment section what are your favorite Goblin sets. And now, let's go! And we're going to start not with a full Transmog set, but goggles. Because, and this is obviously not only for goblins, but it's a very goblin-esque thing, to wear engineering goggles. And the cool thing, you don't have to be an engineer for all of these. There are some, given only some, most of them are only accessible to engineers, and that's just that. But there are some that you can even wear and acquire without being an engineer, which is nice because unless you're crazy like me and almost all of your characters are engineers, it would be such a shame if you would never have any goggles to rock. Now, I'm just gonna name a few of my favorites. There are definitely more, and if you have more ideas, please put them in the comment section. But since this is not a video on goggles alone, I didn't want to spend so much time on just goggles. But we're gonna start with the Spectricles. Now, these guys you get from a quest in TBC. This is from the Shadowmoon Valley, and it's in the main hub on either Horde or Alliance side in the Shadowmoon Valley. And you just follow up on a little ghost quest, and if you finish it up, then you get these white goggles that you now obviously can transmog. Now, the next goggles are not necessarily engineering goggles, but they're sunglasses, and these are the bronze tinted sunglasses. These you can only pick up every single time the anniversary of World of Warcraft rolls around. This obviously is only once per year the case, and if you don't have them, then you just missed them, but don't worry, this year you can pick them up again. Which sunglasses are acquirable all year through, however, are the rhinestone sunglasses, rhinestones in quotation marks. These are a transmog item that you can just pick up from the auction house, or I think your jewel crafter of choice in Dragonflight. I just bought them on the auction house. I think they cost a couple thousand, but are absolutely worth their money. Also, some sunglasses that I want to mention are the rhinestone sunglasses. Now, these I think are actually kind of expensive. I think they're also from the jewel crafting profession. So, you know, just hunt them down on the auction house. Maybe you will find them for a good coin. Now, next on the list are two goggles that I think are made by engineers and are white items and therefore moggable, and they are the safety goggles and the authentic junior engineer goggles. Those are very old school, very classic, but I really like them, and especially on gnomes and goblins, I think they absolutely rock. The next goggles on my list are a little bit of a grind because they drop from Mimiron in Ulduar, and they are Mimiron's flight goggles. Now, these are only for leather wearers available, and therefore already a little bit restricted. I needed a lot of kills to get them back in the day. I remember that I farmed that over and over again, but they're definitely worth the grind because they look exactly like the BC engineering goggles in red. And another really cool pair of goggles that I love to transmog are Belby's Eyesight Enhancing Romance goggles. Now, these are from the Brewfest, and yep, if you missed it, then you will have to wait another half a year and a little bit until the Brewfest rolls around again, and then you can buy them. And they are not only making everyone around you naked, but you're also wearing pretty nice and cool classic goggles. And now to the probably easiest to pick up ones, the Felproof waterproof goggles. This is a rare treasure chest that you can just pick up like that in the Tanan jungle. And those just look like the good old school engineering classic goggles. And I love them very much because they remind me of my days as a level 19 PvP rogue alt, where I was just one-shotting noobs. Who weren't really noobs, but just players with worse gear. Another pair that you can pick up on the auction house are the square holders. These are also created by jewel crafters, I think. I'm not 100%, maybe it's also from someone else, but they're definitely always on the auction house for more or less a lot of gold. And they look like the old school racer goggles, I think they were called, and they were reintroduced as a transmog item, thankfully for all of us who missed out on that quest in the old 1000 Needles. And now a last little shout out. There are some Mist of Pandaria styled engineer goggles that you can wear even if you're not an engineer. They drop only for cloth and they drop from Maleficent Mana Storm in the very annoying to farm Salt on Violet hold. It will be a lot of grinding, but thankfully you can get this head also on normal mode, so you know, just go in there and hope that you get lucky and get the right boss, and also that these goggles drop. And now that we've talked about goggles, let's talk about sets. And the first one on the list is gonna be my Hunter Aquafina, because hunters are already always left in the dust when it comes to Mog sets, so let's talk about them first. This is a set that I mostly built around the idea of the Old War 25 people set of the Hunter, which is one of my absolute favorite Hunter sets of all time. This also comes in green and black and red, so you can also do obviously with those versions of the set a lot, especially when it comes to engineering goblin inspired sets. I think they work very well with that idea, and I combined them with the blue Rentnel armor, which is one of the goggles from engineering that you unlock when you get one of the meta achievements that they added in a prior patch when it comes to gathering all the engineering goggles. Now, if you've never done this achievement and if you haven't really done engineering in itself, I am planning to do a little engineering guide that is obviously going to be very Boo themed. So, you know, you can also just look it up on Wowhead and other sites how to very quickly and very efficiently bring up professions. But especially for Pandaria, I can say this is very easily done and it won't cost you a lot of money or time. You can very easily acquire these goggles, but obviously you can also just use maybe one of the goggles that I've shown in the previous part. The belt is from the new questing set from the Undermine, so if you just quested the main campaign in the Undermine, then you will have this belt. And the weapon that I'm currently using is the Ironcrest long rifle, which I think is a blue drop from one of the dungeons in BFA. Probably, if I would have to guess, it might be from the Motherlode itself. Now, for the weapons, you can also obviously choose others. I also always love to show off my crystal shot long rifle, which if you didn't get it in Warlords of Draenor, then I'm very sorry you can't get this anymore, because this is a challenge mode weapon from that expansion and a very cool alternative that will always turn some heads because people just don't know about that weapon for some reason, is the hidden appearance of Titan Strike, the weapon of the Beastmaster Hunter from Legion, because this one, even though is a gun, is in its hidden appearance a bow and uses the bow animation. And if we want to keep it very plain and simple and very easily accessible, then obviously for my survival hunters, I love currently mogging the Boreal spell stuff, which is the traffic signal staff from the new patch. You also just get this if you quest through the main campaign of the Undermine. You probably already have it. This is, I think, one of my favorite weapons that they've put out during the past few patches, probably. I don't think you will get me to stop mogging this weapon in the near future, because it's just perfect. No notes, this is a perfect weapon. The next one on my list is my Monk Barbie. And for Barbie, we are looking at a set that is moggable by all leather classes. And this is mostly the offset from the Rogue set from Ulduar. Once again, Ulduar just being a banger, right, when it comes to transmog sets in general. And this one is one of my all-time favorites. This is the 10-player Ulduar offset from the Rogue. Now, something very important about Ulduar that I failed to mention earlier is that now that 10 and 25 are one and the same mode, you can farm all the sets at the same time. The only problem with that is that you obviously also need a lot more tries to even get the pieces that you want. Anyway, back to the set. Except for the belt and the hat, this is completely the Ulduar Rogue offset set. But the belt, however, is from the Raid Finder version in Antoros. This drops from Hazabel, and it is the offset from the Rogue once again, because Rogues just have very nice sets in general, but they're also usually a little bit more on the tinker side of life. And the hat that I'm wearing is the Deathblow X11 goggles. These you get from the TBC Engineering. TBC Engineering is a little bit of a pain in the bum. You need to be 75 to even get all the goggles. And even when you can create them, you sometimes still need recipes, and the materials for them are pretty expensive. So TBC Engineering is quite the opposite of the Pandaria Engineering. Very inaccessible, very exhausting, and very expensive and or time consuming. So just keep that in mind before you start your grind if you've never really had an engineer or if you're missing some of the goggles. And the tabard that I'm wearing, obviously you can just exchange with whatever tabard you like. This one is from the Hand of Vengeance. This you can only get from the Wrath of the Lich King Time Walking Render. And the weapon that I'm currently rocking is a PvP weapon, also from Wrath of Lich King, and it also sheets on the back for all the other classes, by the way. And with my other weapon, I did a little bit of a monk thing, because monks have hand wraps as a weapon skin, and that just means that your weapon is completely gone, which always means that you can, if you dual wield, rock that very nice look of just having one weapon on your back, which I very much love. Obviously, there are tons of other weapons you can mock with this. One I really love is, for example, the laser sword, or one of the laser swords from Zereth Mortis. Even though Zereth Mortis is a very ugly zone, it was definitely good for all the lightsabers we got. Sorry for saying laser swords, that's just a German word. This is the Anima-Siphoning Sword. This drops, I think, from one of the rare mobs. It is that big devourer in the top corner of the zone, if I'm not completely mistaken. I'm probably putting his name right now on the screen. And the other weapon that I also want to give a little shout out to is the Peacekeeper Blade. This is also from Wrath of the Lich King. This drops in the Trial of the Champion dungeon, which is a pretty annoying dungeon if you solo it, because Wrath things, just believe me when I say this, but it's absolutely worth it for this weapon alone. And this drops from the second boss, and it has an 8% chance of dropping, so you know, put on your big boy pants and farm this cutie pie if you want it. There's also a different version of it, and this one is the Gnomeregan Mindslicer, but honestly, I almost would say that the other one is easier to get, because for this one you have to quest to Vashir, and I think it's almost in the last zone that you even get this from a very, very long quest chain. I will probably link it in the video description if you want to give it a try though, because this is obviously a 100% thing, because it's a quest reward, but then again, it's a very long Cataclysm questline, so, you know, pick your poison. And while we're on the topic for this leather set, I also wanted to point out that obviously there is a secondary color that you can get completely offset for all your leather classes of the Rogue set from Ulduar, and this one looks, in my opinion, just as good, because I love the combination of green and violet. Actually, that is my favorite color combination, and I just paired them with some engineering goggles, also from the TBC expansion. And the back piece that I'm wearing, you were able to pick up from the trading post. I don't know if that thing is coming back. They are always really bad at telling us when stuff on the trading post will be back, but I still think that it goes really well with this set. And also, it is one of the few sets that I found that the main hand weapons that we got from one of the trading post finishing sets, these very cool engineering tinkerer fist weapons, that they really fit well with. So I love wearing them on my little monk, obviously, but they also go along well with any other class that can wear them. And another rather simple set, in quotation marks, for the leather class, I built around the idea of the Vile Fumigator's mask. This is a rare drop from the Lovers in the Air event. If you killed that boss at least a few times, you definitely got that transmog, but if you missed it, then bad news, you gotta wait another year until it's back in town. The back piece for this is from a rare mob from the Isle of Dorn. It is in the ruins of Dalaran, and it is a big, ginormous, evil escapee from ICC, so you cannot really miss it if it's up. It has like a respawn timer of like 4 hours or something. I will definitely put it in the video description. But the bread and butter of this set is basically the bandit set. This is a leather uncommon drop. You can just buy it on the auction house if you don't already own it. There are multiple versions of this little suit. I really like to wear it with all my engineers because, well, it looks like an engineer set and it goes along very well with so many different sets. So, you know, get creative with that. I paired it with the belt of the rogue set from the Nighthold set. This is the normal version, but there are so many other belts that also go well along with this. And my weapon of choice is 2 times the Blade Fist from Kargath. This, I think, drops from the normal mode in the high mall raid, but maybe I'm also mistaken and this is from heroic. Don't at me if I confused my versions. And my last set on the list is my little man in black set. This again is very much tailored towards the hunter class, but first of all, you can mock this on leather and mail. It's just a little bit more complicated to get completed on mail. And I mean, if you can find a weapon that fits better than a gun, then please tell me in the comment section. But yes, this set has been with me ever since Mechagon, ever since they gave us these amazing guns. I love them so much. I wear them way too little because I'm not that big into guns in World of Warcraft. But this set is basically built around the idea of the scout set of the leather class. However, you can get this on mail too, but now please don't ask me where I got these parts, probably from questing in zones like Darkshore. I might put a little link into the video description how you get these on mail as well. Maybe just look through your wardrobe and try to find them yourself, which is sometimes just the best way of finding new transmog. For example, the hands that I'm using here, you can also obviously improvise with anything else. I just got them recently from the stupid Plunder Storm event, so I just wanted to use them. And the little watch that I'm wearing is just the icing on the cake. You obviously don't have to wear that either, but I just thought it's fitting very nicely. But good news, the shades you can just pick up from an NPC that is standing in front of the barber shop in both Orgrimmar and Stormwind, so that's nice. And that gun you can get, you won't believe it, on Mechagon. One drops, I think, just random on Mechagon in general, and one you can pick up from the dungeon. The whole idea of this is to just look like you you know, hunted down some aliens. Well, and that's been that. Again, these have just been very, very few of the sets and the items I just really like to mock on my goblins. Again, if you like this, then please let me know in the comment section. Then I might do a second or third part, or we'll just see. I mean, it's gonna be a very goblin-esque month and patch and season, so there is so much more to discover. Can't wait to hear your opinions and can't wait to hear your ideas for sets. And yeah, if you like this video, then please consider leaving a like or a comment. It helps and I appreciate it so much. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe consider doing that as well. And I think probably not tomorrow, but the day after, there's gonna be a new video on probably the new Delphs and maybe even the new raid, but we'll see about that. And in any case, I wish you all the fun with the new patch and the new season that is starting now. And until next time, bye bye.